Okay, well, welcome back. So this is our last lesson where you'll have to watch it, recorded version of it and not be able to ask questions. So by the time this one is due, this lesson, homework 6, is due Monday, September 25th. And then we will be back live Tuesday, September 26th, and I will be fully recovered and ready to go. So this lesson is on section 1.2 graphing. So make sure that you pay very special attention to how I'm going to show you how to graph and how to find the equation of a line and all of that. For some of you, this will be review, but for others, you might learn something different and new, whether it's review or not. So let me share my screen, and I'm going to do this in two videos. So you can see I have homework 6, two different sections. So I'm going to do this in 2 videos because I wanted to break it up just in case maybe you already understand slope formula and the point slope format and how to find equation of a line. You want to get to the actual graphing part, then you can skip to the next lesson. But it also is better if the videos are a little bit shorter. So that's why I'm splitting them up into 2 different ones. Okay, so section 1.2 is super important because it's reminding you or reviewing or learning how to graph a line and what the easiest technique is. Now, this graphing a line is going to come back to us in chapter 5. So everything we do, you will see it again. So don't just think, oh, phew, got through that section, I'll never see it again. This is most definitely, you will see this section again. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to start off with the slope formula. And so we'll talk about how the slope of a line pertains to business in the next lesson. Right now, we just want to kind of do the how to type format. Okay, so slope of a line. So in your picture here, you see on the right side, you see that there's a line in blue and there is a rise. Okay, so here is our rise here. And here is our run. So our rise goes up and down, and that's vertical. And our run is horizontal. It goes right to left. Okay, so the idea is with slope is it has the same ratio of the rise to the run throughout the entire line. Okay, so it's a consistent rising or a consistent decreasing. So a consistent rise and or a consistent fall. That's what the slope of a line is. So in business, what you'll see is the slope represents how things change. It's the average rate of change. So for instance, in business, if you have a, let's say we have a graph here. Just write this real quick. And let's say this is our profit, right? You're never going to have a straight line for profit, right? You want your profit to increase. Well, sometimes the profit increases and then decreases and then increases and decreases. So let's say you want to know, how did it change from this point right here, which would be a high point, to this point right here? In other words, how much did my profit decrease over that particular amount of time? Or maybe you wanted to know, how much did my profit increase? Maybe it's a slight increase, but it increased from, say, month 6 to, month 18. So slope in business is super important because it tells you how things are changing. Are costs improving? Are costs going up? That's bad for business, right? Is profit going up? That's good for business. Is revenue decreasing? That's not good, right? So you want to be able to find out, okay, where or why are these things going up and down and how are they changing? Okay, so the first thing we need to know is, what is our slope formula? So as we're looking at these graphs, get a little cleaner one here. So we have, you know, we have this graph, and let's say it's our, you know, our revenue. And we have these 2 points. This point right here, we're going to call it X1. This point right here, we're going to call it X2, right? It's just the first point and the second point. That's all that means. X1, X2 just means the first point and the second point. Well, when I come up from my first point and I come over to my Y value, that Y value is Y1, right? When I come up to my second point of X and I come over, this is my Y2. Well, when I'm looking, how much did this rise? This is the difference between the two Y's. It's how much did my Y rise? And then the difference between my two X's, how much is the run? So that is the difference between the two X's. So your rise and your run indicates the slope. That is your slope. The slope, get a different color here. So the slope between these 2 points is the ratio between how the Y's change and how the run changes. So that's where we get our slope formula. And we call our slope M. The only caveat is our X's cannot be the same. If they were the same, then we'd end up with X is 0, right? Which means you can't have 0 on the bottom of a fraction, okay? So it's how the rise changes, so that's where this is, vertical change, and how the run changes, horizontal change, okay? That is how you find slope. That's your slope formula, the difference in Y's over the difference in X's. So let's say that our first point was 3 and 10, and our second point was -2 and 7. Okay, so 3 and 10 and -2 and 7. Well, these are our points on our graph, right? So if you remember graphs, move this up a little bit. Okay, there's our graphs. Okay, so we have, I'll put in lines here, 3 over and 10 up. I'm going to pretend with me. Okay, so 3 over and 10 up. This is our first point. And our second point is at -2, 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what we're looking for is what is the slope between these 2 points. That's what we're looking for. How is the slope changing? Well, when I'm doing the difference in the Y's over the difference in the X's, my rise is 10 minus 7. My run is 3 minus a -2. So when we're using our slope formula, it's 10 minus 7 and 3 minus a -2. So watch your signs, because this minus sign is going to be different than the sign that's on the ordered pair. Okay, so now you have to make sure that you understand, you know, order of operations and adding integers and all of that. So 10 minus 7 is 3. 3 minus a -2 is the same as 3 plus 2, which is 5. So what that means is this slope rises 3 and runs 5. It rises 3 and runs 5. So it has a slope of 3/5. Okay, and that is the slope. So the slope formula is very, very important, because we have to be able to find out how is our line changing, or what's the ratio of the rise to the run. Okay, let's try another one. Let me get some more room here. Let's try another one. And I like to do the graphs just because it gives us something to look at. Try to get it right there on the things. Okay. All right. So here we go. So you have 2 points. Let's say we have the point 1, 2, and we have the point -2, -1. Okay. So if I graph the first point, I go over 1 and up 2. When I graph the second point, I'm going to go to the left 2 and down 1. So this is my point 1 and 2. This is my point -2, -1. And what I want to find is what is the slope between these 2 points? How much is it changing? Okay, so I'm going to use my slope formula. So, and it does not matter which set you use first. Okay, it doesn't matter, just be consistent. So if I use this second set, y minus y, so this minus this, and then x minus x, x minus x. Okay, so notice I was consistent. I used this one and then this one. I used this one and then this one. All right, so now I have -3, and -2 minus 1 is another -3. So -3 over -3 is a +1. Well, when I look, I can go down 1 and over 1, down 1 and over 1. So my rise is 1 and my run is 1. My rise is 1 and my run is 1. And it's consistent through this entire line. So this is my slope. It has a slope of 1. Every time something rises, it runs 1. Rise 1, runs 1. Okay, so now how do we apply this to our finding the equation of a line? Well, we have to use something that's called the point slope format. And this is a formula. It's y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. So you're going to use point slope format anytime you're given the slope and 1 point. And what this does is once we clean this up, then it's going to turn it into the point intercept, or I'm sorry, the slope intercept format, which many of you are already familiar with. So the the slope intercept format is y equals mx plus b. M is your slope, and b is your y-intercept. That's your equation of a line. Okay, so to find the equation of a line, and we're going to use this these 2 sets of points to find an equation of a line. So anytime you are given this set of instructions, that goes through 1, 2, and -2, -1. Okay, so we're going to find the equation of the line that goes through. Well, you need the slope, which we already found was 1, and you need a point, which we already have. We have 1, 2, or -2, -1. So we're good to go. That's all we need to use the point slope format. So we're going to use the point slope format. So it's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Now I'm going to change colors on this because I want you to identify the things that you actually need. So we need, it doesn't change too much, does it? We'll do it this way. Okay, so to use the point slope format, why did it do that? Hang on. And I need to get to the graph or to the, there we go. Okay, so to use the point slope format, I need a point. Okay, there's my point, and I need the slope. Okay, well, we have the slope. And we have the point. Or this, doesn't matter. You can use either set. Okay, I'm going to move this out of the way again. Okay. Okay, so as long as we have the slope and a point, we're good to go. So here we go. We're looking for the equation of a line. All right, so all we're going to do is plug in what we need. We have, get the right color here. We have y minus, and we're going to use, I'll just happen to use the first one. So y minus 2, the slope is 1, and x minus 1. So this is my x, here's my y. Okay, so now I'm just going to clean it up. Y minus 2, remember the distributive property, 1 times x is x, 1 times -1 is -1. Now I'm going to solve for y. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So my equation of a line is x plus 1. Okay, now let me go back to our graph. Where did the y, or where did the red line cross the y-axis? It crossed, and part of this is just because I'm a terrible drawer. It crosses right here at y is 1. Well, look, that's your y-intercept. Here's your y-intercept right here. That's where it's going to cross the y-axis. Okay, and then my slope is 1. All right, so let's walk through one more, finding the equation of a line. So let's say that we are given the slope is 1/2. Okay, so it rises 1 and runs 2. And I'm going to make it negative. Okay, so remember, a negative slope means it's decreasing, it's going downhill. So our slope is -1/2, and we have a point at 1, 3. Okay, so what's the equation of the line? So find, so I can type this, it might be easier. Find the equation of the line with a slope of -1/2 going through the point 1, 3. Okay, so the minute you see the term, oh, equation of a line, you need a slope, you need a point. You have a slope, there's your slope, you have the point. Okay, so we're good to go. We're going to do, we have a slope is right here. And we have a point is right here. So as soon as you have those, you are good to go. You don't have to guess. There's no guesswork. The hardest part is realizing, oh, they're looking for equation of a line. I need a slope and a point. So this one, I'm given the slope. If I was given 2 points, you're going to find the slope, like what we did first. Okay, so here we go. Y minus y, the slope, times x minus x. Now we're going to clean this up. So y minus 3 equals -1/2 times x is -1/2 x. -1/2 times -1 is +1/2. Okay, and then we're going to add 3 to both sides. So I get y equals negative 1/2 x plus 3 1/2. Okay, a whole number plus a half is just 3 1/2. Now, if you want to find out how to add fractions, right? This is why we did fractions at the beginning. So we're going to change the 3 into something over 2, right? We're changing it to a fraction. So all you're going to do is multiply the whole number times the denominator. So 3 times 2 is 6. So 6 divided by 2 does equal 3. So you can do it this way. You can go 1/2 plus 6/2 gives you 7/2. Remember changing an improper to a mixed number to an improper. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1. There's your 7/2. So you can write it y equals negative 1/2 x plus 7/2. Either way works. Okay, and that is your equation of the line on both of these. All right, I'm going to stop there and then we'll jump into 1.1.